Guys, Boston has been going through it, okay? Like, if you think New York and Chicago have gotten it bad exclusively, it's just them. Look at Boston for a moment, right? Boston is absolutely going crazy, guys. But either way, listen, the name of the video is the first migrant families move into Old Norfolk Prison. This is a suggestion via Discord, guys. Let's go and check this out immediately. Let's get the information.
We have learned the first migrant families have moved into an emergency shelter at the former prison in the town of Norfolk. It is the state's latest attempt to try to ease the migrant crisis, but the move has divided that town. As Brandon Truitt shows us, residents are concerned that the migrants will put an added strain on resources and greatly impact the school system.
This really was a last-ditch effort. While people were protesting here, families were being moved into that old prison across town.
This is completely out of control.
A few dozen folks gathered at the center of town, pushing back against the state's plan to move 450 migrant and unhoused people into the old Bay State Correctional Center.
Notice the words here, migrants and unhoused peoples. We just learned this word. Apparently this is a brand new word for homeless, because apparently the word homeless is now considered derogatory. So unhoused. So that's a good thing at the very least if they're finally, well, I guess if they're the only city that's also trying to do something for the actual citizens that are homeless in the area. That's a good thing at the very least, right? Turning this hopefully empty building into a shelter for anyone that needs shelter.
Plan to move 450 migrant and unhoused people into the old Bay State Correctional Center. But by Wednesday afternoon, town leaders say about 70 people, 22 families, were the first to move in.
It's not safe, this situation. Psychologically, these women who are pregnant with children, I mean, welcome to America. We're throwing you in a prison.
There is just one.
Well, yeah, the optics are absolutely wild. Okay, they are. They're crazy. Imagine migrants move to Boston, get thrown into prison immediately. That type of thing. I mean, the optics are absolutely crazy. We'll say.
One ambulance here, one gas station, and no grocery stores. Norfolk has about 11,000 residents, and there are questions over impacts to town services.
It's like Boston getting 25,000 people. You know, that's a 4.5% population increase overnight.
Benjamin Sprague is a father of 2 Norfolk public school students. The town has been told up to 150 children will need classroom placement. The trouble is, the town says they don't have the space.
Oh, wow. There's no music room anymore. They have to do music inside the classroom. So how are they going to adjust to have that many children enter into the school system and not have an impact on everything else?
And guys, that's kind of my big concern here, right? Like, okay, so yeah, they're moving into a small town, from what it sounds at least, right? And the school itself is not large enough to house or take on 150 to 200 kids. It's not, right? Like, all these people have paid their tax dollars to make sure their kids were in a school that was acceptable to their means, right? To their standards. And then to now know that now the schools are going to be now all overworked, okay? And their kids are going to get less of an education. You do want smaller class sizes, specifically for young kids, right? So yeah, I'd be angry also. I would be absolutely irate if I lived in this area and I sent my kid to school, to specifically a school that had low numbers in the classrooms, and we had a band room, right? And now that band room is no longer a band room, and the music room doesn't exist anymore. How could it, right? They're going to have to now cut out all of the extracurricular activities exclusively to now fund people who have never paid into the tax code ever.
The crowd had a mix of Norfolk residents and out-of-town Trump supporters. Opinions ran the gamut for a polarized topic that's about as hot as they come.
I am upset. I'm angry.
And then we found Gretchen. She grew up here and served in that church over her shoulder. Gretchen made it clear she doesn't have all the answers, but called for compassion in the pursuit to figure it out.
What is American for? It's a whole bunch of immigrants that came here. And then we turn around and we say, oh, we don't like you because of the color of your skin or whatever.
What? I'm not sure that was the reasoning. But it's not about not liking someone. I think that's the number one thing. Firstly, okay, the first thing here is, well, the more important thing again is people live here. They moved to an area specifically because they thought that they could raise their kids here. All right. If their parks are now being shut down, if their schools are now being bombarded by people who have never paid or even chose to even be in this very specific pocket in Massachusetts, right? that's rough, bro. I hear you. Compassion, 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 but not on my tax dollar, not to the detriment of my children under any circumstance. That's the reality, right? I refuse to basically wager my kids' future in school specifically, or their happiness to be able to go play in a park that has not been converted into some type of migrant shelter. I'm not going to give up my kids' future and happiness for someone who's never paid into it ever. Sorry, I can't, bro. There are places elsewhere outside of a lot of these places that may not be the best places in the world to be, right? But they can go to Middle America, to be honest. They could. There's a lot of empty space there. But either way.
Of your background. It's just not fair. It's just not just.
And there are still questions over how the town is going to fit all of those school-age kids into classrooms.
They're not going
They're
to.
set to address that at a meeting in mid-July. In Norfolk, Brandon Truitt, WBZ News.
So here's the thing, guys. I went to a school one time. It was in the state of Georgia. It was in Gwinnett County, Georgia. And I remember when they started growing faster than I think they've ever expected, guys. That they grew unnecessarily fast. It's the high school that I'd gone to, and they had to actually start like putting what's it called here, guys? Like trailers like around the school just so they can kind of deal with the wild influx of like people moving to the state of Georgia. Right? They did not build the school for these thousands and thousands of people to basically flood the area. They didn't. They were not ready for it. And so when the question comes up here or arises here, what are they going to do about the kids going to that school? They're going to have to build some type of trailers. And again, that costs a lot of money. Think 20, 30,000, 40,000, right, per one of those trailers. And they're going to need a lot of them. They're going to now have to hire new teachers. And then who knows if they're going to be able to pay. Most likely the government will end up paying for like the food services inside the school itself, right? Which is going to be coming out of the taxes. So I'm guessing property taxes are also now going to go up for less services to the people actually paying, right? There's so many issues with what's actually happening. And, you know, after watching the debate, I'm not sure anyone really can do anything about it, truthfully, right? I think it is... It is too late. It's just going to keep going. And, you know, current president says that we should at least be taking 2,500 at minimum legally every single day. But in actuality, there are people that are still skirting that completely. They're just going through San Diego and hitting the shores in boats, guys. We've seen videos of that too, right? Then just basically disappearing into the street, ghost migrants. We have too many issues here, okay? Personal opinion here, right? But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.